by the way, just have to say, the
I have a little green spot over here.
Sorry, just woke up. All right, let's bust through this. Here we go. Boom. Coming in at whoa. Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today we're going to talk about the worst of the worst. These cards are broken in a bad way inside Clash Royale. We're going to cover the 10 worst cards inside the entire game of Clash Royale as of right now. So let's go ahead and jump to it with number 10. Number 10 is a card that I've never included on my bad cards list, but when you think about it, this card is only somewhat viable because of one deck, and that is the Cannon. The Cannon in 2.6 Hog Cycle is just fine because you really need every elixir advantage you can get in 2.6. You need to keep your deck as cheap as possible, so people still use Log over the Tesla. But in a vacuum, you compare the Cannon to any other defense in the game, heck, even compared to Tombstone, to a building, to a spawner, and you are getting so much more value out of. The Tesla is so much better than the Cannon in a vacuum. Cannon, again, has a really awful win rate too. 37% win rates on ladder in the last 3 days. That's really low considering it is tied. It's married to pretty much one of the most popular decks in 2.6. All those reasons is why Cannon definitely, in my opinion, needs a little buff to make it a little bit more competitively viable, and that would help out 2.6 players, and 2.6 has been in better spots too. So Cannon makes the list at number 10. Coming in at number 9 are Zappies. Now, Zappies don't have the lowest win rate in the game. Their win rate is actually pretty healthy at 45% in the last 3 days on ladder. However, the sample size is really small. Probably those 3 players out there, maybe you're one of them, playing Zappies inside the arena are having a moderate level of success, although not even winning 50% of their matches. But Zappies, neither here nor there, is we talked to Seth, we talked to the Rumham about the balancer in Clash Royale about the Zappies, and he said he just doesn't like the card, doesn't like the mechanic, and he thinks that when they're too strong, they make a very frustrating mechanic to go against inside this game. Well, the fact of the matter remains, they're not too strong, they're too weak, and pretty much everybody recognizes that. Zappies are not even a bad card. I like the split lane push potential. I actually like the card in theory. I don't want them to be super strong, but I do think they need a small, very small buff to make them viable again. Right now, they're just too slow on their fire speed, especially their first attack. That's why they make the list at number 9. Coming in at number 8 are Fire Spirits. Now, surprisingly, the Fire Spirits have the second lowest win rates inside the entire game at a shockingly low 20%. But just like Zappies, I love the Fire Spirits. I love Zappies and I love Fire Spirits. They're not one of the most unpopular cards in the game because they're annoying or toxic. They're just not as good as other 2 elixir cards, most notably the Wall Breakers. The Wall Breakers are so good for 2 elixir, they're almost like a win condition, whereas you could have Fire Spirits that are good in very circumstantial situations where you have like a minion horde coming down the lane. Sure, they can force a response out of the opponent when played at the bridge, but so can a lot of 2 elixir cards. Again, see the Wall Breakers. How do you buff Fire Spirits and not at the same time buff the Furnace, which is one of the best buildings in the game that spawns the Fire Spirits? Don't know the answer to that question, but maybe some of you guys will have good ideas on how to make the Fire Spirits just better. Clearly, they do need a small buff. That's why they make the list at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is one of the two effect spells that we have here on this list. I'm sure you can guess both of them. Well, number 7 is Rage, the Rage spell. The Rage spell is another one of those very circumstantial cards, right? Where, sure, in some situations, having a raged up giant and minions on your tower is a good, or your opponent's tower is a really good thing. On your tower, not so much. You just think, oh wow, that's really toxic. This guy's playing Rage. Rage is almost a spell that you have in your deck if you want to be considered a noob by all the opponents that you play against. Kind of like E-Barb's Rage, the lowest skill combo possible inside the game, right? And all jokes aside, Rage is just not that good. 37% win rates. Below 40%, in my opinion, it just means that it's very clear that this card needs a buff, so why aren't they buffing it? I have no idea. Maybe they just don't want a card like Rage to be that popular inside the game. And you know what? Now that I say it out loud, maybe I don't either. Either way, it makes the list at number 7. Coming in at number 6 are the Royal Recruits. So Royal Recruits, it's been a long time since they made those lists of the most OP broken cards in the game, but one day, way back in the day, they were one of the strongest cards in Clash Royale. Now, not so much. The Royal Recruits pretty much suck, you know? I mean, they're useful in some game modes like Draft, where you just don't know what your opponent's going to have. But in most game modes, when you can actually make a deck, you get so much more bang out of your buck with other tanky cards like just Giant or Elixir Golem or Golem, rather than having the straight line of Royal Recruits, who are pretty good on defense, but aren't that good on offense, especially with all the splash going on. Again, I mentioned the Furnace, the Bomb Tower, Baby Dragons, Bowlers. You can just give your opponent so much free value out of those splash defensive cards on the offensive side of the arena with the recruits, and that's part of the problem with the card. Again, it's widely considered to be the lowest skill card in the entire game. Really, no skill is involved in playing Royal Recruits. Placement doesn't really matter. Oh, I can split them 4 and 2. Ooh, I can put them behind my King Tower, in front of the King Tower, or at the bridge. That's the only decisions that you have to make when playing the Royal Recruits. But even though they're low skill, they also are low effectiveness inside the arena. They're not good right now. I don't know what they need to do to make the Royal Recruits good. Again, kind of like the Rage spell. Not even sure if I want them to be good. So to review here, Cannon, I want it to be good. Zappies, I want it to be good. Fire Spirits, I want it to be good. But Royal Recruits and Rage spell, yeah, maybe they're pretty good. The fact that they're not good. Anyway, let's move on to number 5 on the list. Coming in at number 5 is the Mirror. Mirror, one of those cards, one of the OG cards in the game. It's been around since day 1 of Clash Royale. We talked about this in another ranking video, but I think it bears repeating. Mirror was good, kind of, or more useful way back in the day, in beta days, in 2016 in Clash Royale, because there was only like 40-something cards in the game, right? So sometimes you needed that additional splash damage dealer. You needed that extra range attacker. You needed that extra whatever. But now, with 96 cards in the game plus, I mean, you pretty much have a card that has every purpose. You can make really fine-tuned, well-crafted decks that give you the card that you need when played correctly, that you always need. You don't have to pay more to get it mirrored, right? Mirror is only good for one thing. And a lot of you are probably thinking Battle Healer, right? Because when you mirror an extremely OP card, then it's good. But that is testament to the OP card, not testament to the mirror, right? Which is just duplicating the card at an extra cost. So that's why Mirror makes the list at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is the other effect spell. It is the 1 elixir rare card called Heal. Heal is a disturbingly annoying mechanic that Clash Royale said they would never, Supercell said they would never add to the game, but yet they did it to us. And even though they made it 1 elixir, by the way, it's the worst card in the game. I am not going to deny that in a vacuum. But because it's 1 elixir, I didn't have the heart to put it in the top 3 because I feel like the 3 cards that are above the heal spell, right? I feel like you put them in the deck and it just kills the deck. At least with heal spell being 1 elixir, you can just cycle it. Even if you're getting no value, it only costs you 1 elixir, and at least you kind of keep your cycle going, kind of like cycling skeletons in a 2.6 deck in back of your tower. You don't expect to get value from it. Maybe you will get a little bit of value, but that's kind of how I feel about the heal spell. So it's not, in a vacuum, it's awful. But, you know, it doesn't kill decks like the heavier bad cards do, in my opinion. But it bears repeating that we should put it at number 4 because it's awful. I mean, 1 elixir for a small amount of heal is just way too situational. Even unlike kind of the rage spell, where you can just, there's more circumstances in a game that you can use rage on the defensive and offensive end of the arena, mostly offensive. But with the heal spell, surprisingly, what we found out when we use this card, especially when it's been 1 elixir, is that there's just not that many times in a match where you have obvious situations where you can get heal value, right? So this card ends up being what should be a fast cycle card, ends up being oftentimes just a dead card inside your deck, inside your hand, and it kind of stifles the entire flow of whatever deck you're playing. Heal spell should be deleted from the game. At least that's my opinion. What do you guys think of the heal spell? Either way, it comes on my list at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is a real surprising one. It is the newly nerfed to oblivion Fisherman. Fisherman was such a cool card. One of my favorite legendary cards they've added in a long time personally. I thought the concept was super unique. But man, Supercell, they did something that, you know, I'm critical of them doing quite often, honestly, is they went too heavy on the nerf, man. I felt like Fisherman was an interesting card. I never thought that Fisherman was super OP, personally. But now they've made him so he can't even activate the King Tower in most situations where he really just ought to be, right? And Tornado's back in the meta, and everybody's forgotten about Fisherman. As a matter of fact, you ready for this, guys? The Fisherman's win rates right now on ladder, the last 3 days, are 24%. 24% win rate for the Fisherman. That is awful. How far the mighty have fallen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fisherman just needs his range back, honestly. If you want to nerf his HP or something, or his damage again, go for it. But changing the core mechanic, which provides all the value to the card, is just, I don't understand why. It's a head scratcher for me. Why nerf this card into absolute oblivion? That's my question. I would like to see a buff to the range of the Fisherman again, even if that means a nerf to some of his other stats. I just felt like they got it wrong in terms of the direction that they chose to go when nerfing the Fisherman. Either way, he's just not good anymore. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do anymore. That's why he makes the list. Could be number 1, but at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is the Barbarian Hut, the big behemoth of a 7 elixir waste. You know, talking about the Royal Recruits, kind of the same thing with the Barbarian Hut. With all the slow moving splash in the game right now, Barbarian Hut half the time just gives you, your opponent, if you're playing the Barbarian Hut, gives them kind of free value to stack up troops, stack up range troops, and just build a big push into the Barbarian Hut. It's not like the olden days where Spawner is an actual viable archetype that you can have success with at a competitive level with high win rates, either on ladder or inside grand challenges. It's just not the case anymore. Spawners are kind of dead, at least the traditional ones, Goblin Hut and Barbarian Hut, although Goblin Hut didn't make the list. Probably be my top 15 worst cards, but not my top 10. Barbarian Hut, though, man, it's bad. Barbarian Hut is a bad card, and it might not seem that way on first, your first glance. You look at the card and you think, okay, I can spawn Barbarians. It has a load of HP, but then when you play it, you can no longer have a high level of success with Barbarian Hut. I mean, and if you do, it might just be despite the Barbarian Hut. You might be that good of a player because Barbarian Hut is a value sink in terms of the elixir that you invest to the card, and half the time you end up just giving up the value like we talked about. Barbarian Hut is a really bad card, and it's a rather uninteresting card. That's why it makes the list at number 2. Coming in at number 1, the worst card in the game. It pains me to say this, but it is. The worst win rate too, 12% win rate. You pair him with Rage and you make your opponents happy because they suck so bad. It's the Elite Barbarians, guys. The Elite Barbarians are the worst card inside Clash Royale, and in my opinion, there's not even a second choice for a candidate. I guess I did say that Fisherman could be the worst, but nah, it's Elite Barbarians. If you give me Elite Barbarians in a draft, I'm not ever feeling good about it. You give me Fisherman or something, like, okay, maybe I can work with this, you know? Give me Rage Spell, okay, maybe I can work with it. Give me Elite Barbarians, I know there's a huge dead spot in my deck that they're so easy to kite, they're so easy to handle with splash cards, even if you have spells to combine them with. It's no doubt that their win percentage is so incredibly low. The proof is in the pudding. Grand challenges, you never see them, but if you do, they're gonna lose. They have like a 10% win rate. On ladder, long gone are the days where over-leveled Elite Barbarians are killing everybody. Half the time, even if you're over-leveled and you're playing Elite Barbarians, you're still not having success with it. Again, the proof is in the numbers here. Elite Barbarians are an absolutely broken, dead card. What are they gonna do? Hopefully they don't delete them. Or maybe they do, I don't know. But how do they fix them? How do you fix them? First of all, I don't even know where to begin. You need to rework Elite Barbarians. Supercell needs to take a long, hard look at Elite Barbarians. Think about what they want to make them good at. What is their strength going to be? Are they going to be tank killers? Are they going to be support killers? Are they going to be an offensive threat? You got to think a little bit about these things. Are they just going to be regulated as a noob card that nobody uses except for if you're in Arena 1 or 2 or whatever, Bone Pit, whatever those arenas are called? So, I don't know. Elite Barbarians, they're awful. That's my opinion on Elite Barbarians. Well, there you have it. That is my list of the top 10 worst cards inside Clash Royale. Which cards did I forget? Which cards did I snub? Which list do you want to see me rank next? Let me know the answer to all those questions in the comments below. Huge shout out to Bren Chong and to Stats Royale, my YouTube partners here on CWA Mobile Gaming. Thank you for using my creator code, CWA, and thank you for watching all the way till the end. I really appreciate it. And as always, take care, guys. Coming in at number 9 are actually Zappies. Now, Zappies do not have the lowest win, or So how do you buff the fire spirits without nerfing the without buffing the furnace? We don't want to. Dude, this video is off to a great start. You could have wall breakers, a real legitimate viable win condition, and right now they're just being overshined by the fires. Anyway, let's move on to number 6 on the list. Well, there you have it. Good luck with that.